Hey everybody, Kelly Zitlow here, and I have the Patrick McQueen with Metalist Legal. Today, I was thinking we could talk about the exciting world title insurance. This is such an important thing, and it's kind of like an unknown. People don't really know how it works. And I know from your seat, you see a lot of issues that come to your desk and people needing help that maybe they had title insurance, or maybe they don't know they have title insurance, and you can leverage that to remedy the situation. Like, let's just cut to the chase. Let's talk about what title insurance is. Are you up for it?
I'm going to try my best.
Okay, good. Let's start by talking about what is title insurance. Go.
Title insurance is a product that protects people's investments in their real estate. It looks backwards to confirm that there was no adverse recordings, that there is nobody else that could possibly own your property or have a claim to your property. And if somebody comes out of the woodwork and says, I had a mortgage on your house, I'm foreclosing on it, I own this because my great grandmother deeded me this property 20 years ago, I'm a claimant, or hey, I'm going to adjust our property lines to where they shouldn't be, you can't do anything about it. Those are all examples of things that title protection and title policies protect against. So those are things that title insurance protects against. So just like you buy auto insurance for a claim for something bad happening, it's very similar. You pay a deductible, and then you have someone out there defending you and saying, look, this person has no right to do what they're saying they're trying to do, and we're going to defend you and possibly pay out a claim if we have to.
Yeah. So let's walk through some real life examples. First of all, there's kind of two different title policies. Generally, there's going to be what we call owner's title policy, which is insuring, in this case, the person purchasing or the entities purchasing, people purchasing the home. And then there will be a lender's title insurance policy that actually covers the lender's lien position to ensure that they are in the position that they think they're going into, i.e., for a traditional purchase acquisition, that's usually first lien position. So very important for lenders to know that they have the insurance and that they are in first lien position in case of default in the future. Do you want to kind of comment on how they differ? And if you're using financing, your lender's going to require lender's insurance. But this whole owner's title insurance, I think this is where people get into, should I purchase it? Should I not purchase it? Etc. So
Yeah, a lot of people think they have to purchase it, and they actually don't. Some brokerages are going to highly push that on people, and rightfully so, because if there's a title loss, the agents don't want to get blamed for it. It makes perfect sense to me. But yeah, there are two completely different policies. So as you said, lender's policy ensures that the lender has whatever lien position the lender thought they were getting. First position lender, second position, whatever that may be. And an owner's policy, on the other hand, protects the owner and says, you are the fee owner, subject to these exceptions, subject to these easements, subject to taxes, those types of things. You are the only owner here. And we're going to protect your ownership interest in this property. And so that's the key distinction. So one is protecting a lien position or ensuring a lien position. This is what we thought we were loaning on or lending on. This is the position we thought we were in, and we now have assurances or insurance that says if somebody else comes out of here and says we don't have the position we thought we did, guess what? We as the lender can now make a title claim on the owner side. Very, very similar. Hey, I own this property. You're the owner of this property, subject to whatever the conditions of the title policy are, the exceptions that may be in there, easements, whatever. And if somebody comes out of nowhere and says that they own your property, we're going to defend you against that, and we may make a claim if we somehow miss this in our title review.
yeah.
So I don't know if that's a good enough job of explaining it, because it's still sort of this weird concept until you actually see it working, until you actually see it in motion, or really until you actually sit down and really map out and read a policy, which I don't recommend. That's when you really see how this works. But that's a general explanation. That's the general distinction between the two.
So I have a real life scenario that I think could help bring this to life, and that is we helped a couple years ago purchase a house, and so they were purchasing a resale home, And in the state of Arizona, our AAR, so our standardized purchase agreement in Arizona, actually has the seller purchasing or paying for the owner's title policy. That varies state to state. So again, if you're in a different state, not purchasing property in Arizona, it may not apply, but in Arizona, it does. And in that case, kind of almost all buyers, if you will, have this extra owner's title policy because it's kind of included in the simultaneous discounted policies that are provided by the seller. So had a couple purchasing the property, and one of the local title companies handled the transaction, and then they came back to me about a year later and they were going to refinance. So we were going through the refinance process again from a lending perspective. We're going to get an updated title policy. We're going to ensure we go back into first lien position, etc. And an old claim came up, and the old claim actually came up from prior to them owning the property. So this is a really great example. It was $7,500, and the first title company just must have missed it because it definitely was not from when they owned the property. So in order to close on the refinance, they used their title insurance, and the previous title company that missed it actually paid the $7,500 claim. So that's a good example of, it's one of those things like nobody really wants to use insurance until you need insurance, but it's there, and that's how it happens. They missed it. The title company missed it. They're ensuring that the owner is purchasing a clear title as well as the lender if an owner's title policy is being provided.
And there's more. So that's a very common scenario. So somehow somebody missed it a long time ago. It didn't show up in the real property records when they were searching it, etc. That's a very real scenario. Other real scenarios involve, hey, my next door neighbor is trying to move the fence line, and I don't know what to do here. I need some assistance. Hey, the city is coming in and trying to move things around. Hey, there is this lender out there where on a loan that we thought was paid off on this house 2 or 3 years ago, and they're giving us a hard time. We need to get rid of them.
Yeah.
So there's so many scenarios that provide some coverage. The one that really concerns me a lot is the situation in which you have homes that are built or improvements that are built on easements. We see this happen all the time. So let's say that you go out there and you build on an easement. Well, guess what? In some instances, even though you may be at fault, the title company may still provide coverage for that and still may help you out, even though you built on something that you weren't supposed to do. So there's all sorts of nuanced features of this stuff. Sometimes there's a forced removal. Sometimes if somebody comes in and says we're entitled, this happens in some states where there's mineral rights underneath. We're entitled to come and dig in your backyard and dig up these minerals and take them for ourselves. Title company may come in and say, no, that's not right. Or even if it is right, we will compensate the owner for that situation. So again, it's something you got to read, something you got to get into every once in a while. But know that in most instances, it makes perfect sense to obtain a title policy because they're fairly inexpensive in relation to the amount of coverage you actually get.
Yeah. So I mentioned resale transactions, but if we kind of move into newly built homes, it kind of has a different conversation because in a lot of those agreements, and I won't say all, but a lot of those agreements, the builder is not paying for the owner's title policy. So in that type of scenario, as a buyer of the home, I may say, well, no, I'm not going to pay for it. I think that's really what we want to help bring education to market on and make sure people understand that just because there's a lender's title policy in play, if you are using financing, it doesn't mean you as the homeowner have protection about any of these things we're talking about. That only is kind of covered through an owner's title policy. Is that a fair kind of assumption?
Yeah, no, and new builds, I think there's a very common misconception, which is the one you just brought up. It's new. It's a new house. What could possibly go wrong? And the answer is a lot, particularly with new builds. So new builds are usually wrought with, title and lien priority issues and all sorts of stuff like that. And so in situations involving new builds, whether or not the builder is providing a title policy, I think buyers need to obtain one because think about all of the liens and all of the payments that are being made to the subcontractors for the work, and that property, just because there's a new house on it, that property still has history. It's been there. It's been deeded many times over. Maybe there was a construction loan. Maybe there's and so that property in and of itself has a ton of history dating back to when we started keeping track of deeds even before then. So there's a lot of history to these, and so you could lose. You have the potential to lose a lot. I've seen that happen, particularly in new build communities where you have somebody who has a superior in time lien and they try to wipe everybody out, and it creates a big stink. And so title insurance may be able to help out in those situations.
Yeah. But you have to elect to purchase the owner's title policy, which is really the point. So get educated if you're purchasing a new build, and they're not hugely expensive because most title companies offer kind of a simultaneous discount. So if you're obtaining financing, we know that the lender is going to require theirs. And so if you add on the owner's title policy, there's a pretty substantial discount that takes place. So, maybe it's $1,000 that the net cost is if the seller's not paying it or the builder's not paying it that you would want. But over the whole scheme of things, I'm sure you can talk to this more than I can. But in my client's case, if maybe he didn't have that owner's title policy, he would have been out far more than the cost of it.
No, usually for an attorney to resolve a title issue or attempt to resolve a title issue, you're paying more than $5,000 deductible on your title insurance policy. So right there is good enough reason for me to suggest that people obtain title insurance in all situations. The other situation that we see, in addition to the new build, are the all cash purchasers. Hey, I'm buying this with all cash. That's just an expense I don't want to deal with. Those people are also at a high risk. It's all cash. Everything is out. This is your whole 100 million, your $1 million purchase. You risk it all without a title insurance policy. And so we get pushback on that one as well. Hey, I'm buying all cash. I don't need it. And it's like, well, no, you need it the most.
Right. Because it's asset protection.
Yeah,
It really is
it
protecting
really is.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, Patrick, thank you so much. I appreciate you talking to us about this. And again, if you have questions about title insurance and you're going through the home buying process, reach out to your lender, reach out to the title or escrow company, talk to your real estate agent. If you are already a homeowner and something's going on, feel free to reach out to Patrick and his team. This is what they do, is to help resolve issues. And obviously, Patrick's a lot more expensive than you just getting title insurance. Let's just be clear, right? But if that didn't happen for whatever reason and you need help with resolution, Patrick and his firm are there to assist. Patrick, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.